I've recently been asked a few questions about how to improvise for beginners, so I thought I would do a little lesson and show you a few approaches and a few ways of doing this. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to pick a few chords, put them in a looper, and I'll show you a different approach or a couple of different approaches of how you can do that. So the first thing I would say is you need to know the notes on the fretboard. If you don't know the notes on the fretboard, you're never going to be able to improvise because you're not going to know where to go, what notes to play. So if you don't know the notes on the fretboard, pause this video, check out the video in the description where I show you how to learn all of the notes on the fretboard, and then come back to this one. If you do know the notes of the fretboard, or you can work out where you're going and you know your pentatonic scales and stuff like that, then we can get started. So first of all, I'm going to put up on this board here the chords that I just played over, and I'll show you a way of playing over those chords using chord tones, and then a few licks and things that you can stick over the top and how to approach it. So don't go anywhere. So on this board I've put the 4 chords that I played in that loop. So we have an A minor, a C major, a G major, and an F. And underneath I've put the notes of those chords, or the notes within those chords. So in A minor we have an A, a C and an E. In C we have a C, an E and a G. In G we have a G, a B and a D. And in F we have an F, an A and a C. I've just coloured the root note in red. Okay, so there are many different ways of playing over these chords. So all of these notes are in the C major scale or the A minor scale, and because we're going to start on the A minor chord, we're going to treat this as an A minor. Okay, so we're going to use this as an A minor improvisation. Now, what you need to learn here is the A minor scale, because just playing the pentatonic would work over this, but there are some notes that aren't in the pentatonic, for example B and F. So we don't have the F and we don't have the B. Those aren't in the pentatonic, so you'd need to play over those chords and get all the notes in there that would sound the best. You'd want to use some of the chord tones, so the B and the F would need to go in there. So let's just quickly look at the A minor scale. So there are a couple of ways of doing this. So we're going to play on the bottom string 5, 7, 8. On the A string 5, 7, 8. On the D string 5, 7, 9. On the G string 5, 7, 9. On the B string 6, 8, 10. And on the high E string 7, 8, 10. And then coming back, we're going to go 10, 8, 7, 10, 8, 6, 9, 7, 5, 9, 7, 5, 8, 7, 5, 8, 7, 5. So that's when we're playing it, which is called the 3 note per string position. Funny enough, because there's 3 notes per string. Now you can also play it a different way, so depending on what you prefer. So we're going to go 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8 on the bottom string and the A string, as we just did. Then we're going to play on the D string 5, 7. Then onto the G string 4, 5, 7. Onto the B string 5, 6, 8. And then onto the high E string 5, 7, 8. Okay, so that's your A minor scale. So in the key of A minor, or in the A minor chord, we've got A, C and E. In the C chord, we've got C, E and G. In the G chord, we've got G, B and D. and in the F chord we've got F, A and C. Now all of those notes are contained within that scale. So a really straightforward way of playing over the top of this would just be to use chord tones. And what you'll notice over the chord of A minor and C, we have a C in both chords and we have an E in both chords. So you could just play a C on both of those, or an E, which would keep it really simple but would sound good. Then we're going to move over to the G chord. You could just play either the G, the B or the D, and on the F you could play the F, the A or the C, and you'll notice that over the F we've got a C which is also in this chord and in this chord. So I'm just going to play that loop and I'm going to play just some of these chord tones over the top so you can hear that just playing really straightforward, really simple improvisation can sound good. The thing you need to make sure you listen to and you're concentrating on is the timing. So you want to be changing notes within a beat or within a subdivision of a beat rather than just randomly changing notes. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm just going to play that loop now, play a little bit over the top and you'll see what I'm doing. So that is a really straightforward way of doing it, and you could simplify it even more than that. So you could just go with C, C, B, C, and I'll show you how just using those 4 notes, which is technically only 2 notes because it's C and B, will still sound good. I'm just going to put the looper on. So if you've never improvised over backing tracks before, you can literally plot out your notes in your chords like this, look at the notes that are similar, and just work on that timing. So as soon as that first beat hits, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you can do then is build on that. So you could go, instead of playing C, C, B, C, you could play C, C, B, A, or A, C, B, A. So for example, and then add notes in. For example, what I did there, I just went to the A, which on this chord, the F. So on beat 1, I've gone down to the A, and then on beat 4, I've come back up to the C. Okay, and then you're just gradually building up the different notes that you're going to play within that chord, and rather than rushing it and getting really sloppy and sounding out of time, you're just concentrating on one beat at a time and one note at a time. So let's have another go at that, and again I'm going to just use these chord tones, and what I'll do is I'll use a maximum of 2 notes per chord. So I'll only use 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these. So put the loop on again and we'll just go through that. So notice what I did there was something slightly different. So I was bending up to some of these notes. So where I had the A, instead of just playing, and then again that changes the sound. Or I was sliding into it. Sorry, I was in. And just adding these little touches in, but still concentrating on hitting the note on the beat. So that is the chord tone approach. So you've got your chords, you know the notes within the chords, and you're picking notes that are in those chords. Now let's have a look at just using some licks and creating licks over the top of these chords. So you're adding some chord tones and licks and you're mixing it up a little bit. So that was a little example of just throwing in some of these chord tones and some different licks and stuff like that as well. Again, notice that I was bending into some of those notes and I was sliding up to the notes, and on some of the times I was bending into a chord tone and playing a chord tone. So for example, on the F chord, I was bending up to the A and then playing the C, and both of those notes are in that chord. So again, this comes down to understanding where the notes are on the fretboard, because if you don't know where the notes are, you're not going to be able to think quick enough to play the notes. So if you don't know the notes but you really want to get involved in this, there's nothing stopping you just learning a portion of the fretboard. So you could learn, for example, from the 5th to the 9th fret, and then you cover the notes within those scales, or within that scale, and the notes within that chord. So that is my little lesson on how to improvise and how to come up with some ideas. Again, to start your improvisation, it's always good to start on a chord tone, and you can either just play that note, bend into the note, slide into the note, but there are different ways of doing that. So again, start slowly, try and keep time, focus on hitting the right notes rather than playing fast, and make sure you're listening to what you're doing to see if it sounds good. Also, a really good tip is to record yourself and listen back to it, because quite often you'll play something and you think it sounds really good and you listen back and you're like, oh yeah, that bend was sloppy or something like that. Or you could listen back to it and think, actually I really like that bit, so I'll try and remember that lick and how to play that. So I hope you found that useful. Leave a comment. Cheers. See you later.